Hello class, welcome to our second part of section 3.1 dealing with simplifying algebraic expressions. Remember, for these questions the goal is combining things that can be combined, such as they have the same variable or they don't have any variables. So these 6 questions are good to try out. Make sure you look at them to see if you have the right idea. Remember, you can only combine things together that have the same pieces, so both x's, for example, are both just constant numbers. So those are some things to think about. So please try these 6 questions and see how it goes for you. Here are the 6 answers. I just want to highlight a few things. For example, this number 2 right here, 7y, has nothing else to go with it. And then it's plus 12 minus 15. So you can think of this as positive 12 and negative 15. If you do keep change, this is really plus negative 15. Negative 15 and 12 together make negative 3. And you could write that as plus negative 3, but it might be easier just to write it as minus 3. So the idea of adding a negative being the same as subtraction is important to these scenarios as you're looking at these 6 questions. This number 4 right here, you have 3.8y, minus 4 doesn't have anything else go with it, plus 7.2y. So 3.8 and 7.2 together make 11y. If there's any issues on these 6 questions, make sure you ask about them. We're going to go through a few more questions like this today. But if you're really stuck and not seeing how it works, we could come up with some visual representations and some other options for you to make it more successful for you. Okay, the important aspect, and we talked about this a little bit before, but it's about what's known as combining like terms. Now, the terms in this question, let's look at this first one. The terms are 9x, negative 2, because minus 2 can be written as plus negative 2. So really that term's negative 2. 7 and then minus x, or negative x. And then the like terms are the ones like both with x's here and both without x's. And then those are the things that you're going to end up combining together. It's important to note that in the second one, z squared is a different type of term than just z. So z squared and minus 3z squared are similar or like terms. And then 5z and z are like terms. You can kind of think of it like if you've ever had an off-brand of an Oreo. If you've ever had an off-brand of an Oreo, you know that the off-brand is similar to the regular Oreo, but not quite the same. Similarly, Coca-Cola and off-brand cola, there's some similarity, but they're not identical. And that's kind of like z squared and z. They're kind of similar. They have similar traits to them because they both have z, but they're not like terms. Okay, when it comes to simplifying, some of you are going to catch on really quick to this. Others will take a little bit longer. The key is combining things that can be combined because of their like terms. So 8 plus the 5y would be 13y, and then minus 7y. They can all be combined together to 6y. For the second question, you got 6x and then minus 4x because it's really plus negative 4x. That minus sign goes with the next piece of the expression, not the previous part. Okay, so you've got 2x there, and then minus 5 or negative 5 plus 6. Well, what's negative 5 plus 6? Well, that's positive 1 because it's one of each, and that's why it's plus 1. This third one here, you got 3/4 c minus 1/2 c, so that would be 1/4 c. And then you have 12 minus 6, which is plus 6. If you find it easier, what you could do is write like terms like this and kind of move them around and then say, all right, I need to add those together and add those pieces together and just rewrite them in one big expression. You may have to do some distributive properties, so 3 times q and 3 times 1, so that's 3q plus 3. And then you can only combine the 3 and 4, so positive 3 and negative 4 become a negative 1. That's why it's minus 1. Negative 2 times g is negative 2g. Notice here I'm just writing this plus sign. When you first get started, you might find it easier to just leave this as a plus sign. Whatever symbol is there, leave it. And then negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. And then you can kind of work with it in that case. Negative 2g plus 7g is 5g plus negative 8. You can leave it like that except for the fact that we're trying to simplify. And it's simpler to write minus 8 instead of plus negative 8. So something to think about for that example. Negative 1/2 times the 6n, negative 1/2 times the 4. You'll get these two pieces here. And then you can only combine certain parts together. So negative 3 plus 2n, negative 3n plus 2n is negative 1, because negative 3 plus 2, 3 minus 2 is 1, but it's negative. Realize that in an answer key, you're never going to see a 1 in front of the n. So if you see negative n, you have to know that means negative 1n. If you just see n, you have to know that's one of those. So the number 1 is not really written in final answers, but you have to recognize that in order to combine terms together. Okay, I would definitely make a note of this last one. This 7 minus 4 causes a lot of problems. You can think about what the mistake would be. Oh, people say, oh, 7 minus 4 is 3, and then I distribute and I find the answer. The problem is you have to multiply before you add or subtract. My suggestion, and I think this will help in general, is if you just do keep, change, make it 7 plus negative 4, the number you're distributing is not 4, you're really distributing a negative 4. That's my suggestion as you look at these problems. In order to find the answer. Notice here, negative 4 times 3/4 is negative 3x. Negative 4 times minus or negative 1/4 should be a positive. Okay, it will take a little bit of time, as I mentioned, okay, for some of you to kind of recognize the relationships between the negatives and positives. Okay, but in general, whatever piece is right before each term is what makes it negative or positive. The last question says each person in the group buys a ticket, a medium drink, and a large popcorn. So a ticket $7.50, medium drink $2.75, $4 for the large popcorn. Okay, I wrote it out like this because it's saying write an expression in simplest form to represent the amount of money spent. It's important to start writing variables and explaining or defining your variable. So in this question, I'm saying X is the number of people in the group. Okay, and then this would be $7.50 per the people and $2.75 for each person and $4 for each person. Now notice these are all with X's, so I can combine them together to make it 1425X. And interpreting this situation means it's going to cost each person $14.25, and then the total would be based upon 1425 times the number of people. There's other ways you can write the expression. For example, you could write 7.5 plus 2.75 plus 4 in parentheses, then times x. There's other ways to write it, but I want you to work on defining variables. That's a fairly new idea. And then figuring out an expression and then simplifying it. Okay, your homework today, 1 through 11, 20, and then 17 through 27 odd. Please make sure on your questions, such as these, you write the original question down, then equals, and then simplify equals answer. My expectation is that when you explain your answers, it's going to look like this. I'm not saying it has to be perfectly identical, but there needs to be enough steps. So notice, even on an easy question like this first one, I've got 13y minus 7y in my step and then the answer. I need to see a middle step somewhere in many cases. Now, some of them you can probably get away with, like these two here, because there's just two things to combine. But you need original problem and then your answer as you go through, and that's going to be the expectation on your test as well. Have a good day, everybody.